Hello and welcome back to Let That Sink In. My name is Tiffany Smith, Marketing Director here at PM and Associates. And as always, I am joined by my co-host, Todd Morgan. How you doing, Todd?
Doing great. Thank you.
And today we are joined by Tony DeDionisio from American Gas Safety. Tony, how you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you, guys.
We are so
Welcome,
glad
Tony.
to
Good to
have
have you here, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Tony, tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us a background.
Sure. Yeah. So my background is in mechanical engineering. I started my career in mechanical engineering. And then I ended up moving into sales and application when I started with AGS. And so now I've been doing this role for about 2 to 3 years. I think it's going on 3 years now. I've been in sales and application. So I sort of leverage my engineering background to help with this and to assist customers and whatnot. But no, my role at AGS is I'm a regional sales engineer. So, I act as a regional. I come around, I visit you guys, to visit all of our customers in the different territories. But, at its core, I'm really an application specialist. So I really work with the engineering community contractors on the application of our products, gas detection equipment, utility controls. So yeah, that's just kind of a little bit about myself as far as a professional aspect goes and what I do for work. But yeah.
That's great.
A strong title.
Absolutely.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think you might be the first sales manager / engineer I've ever had. And that's pretty cool, though, that you're able to come into a territory and really cross a bunch of lines there. So
yeah, well, it helps me a lot in understanding the application that we're going into, because I think it's really important to actually understand the projects that we're actually being applied to and kind of be more on the side of the engineer on what they're actually trying to accomplish, because anybody can know exactly how their product works and how the electronics inside of it works, but you need to know where it's actually being applied and how it's being applied. So I'd like to really leverage my background to be able to do that.
You are a wealth of knowledge. I mean, we've sat through a few of your trainings, and you definitely know your stuff, Tony. So
I appreciate
and
that.
good trainer too. You're
Yeah.
able to explain everything and make it understandable for people like me who I'm not an engineer. I'm just purely a sales guy, right? I don't have that engineer's brain. And a guy like you who can explain it to a person like me is awesome. I give props to Kevin Walbridge of our company at PM and Associates as well, because he's another one that can explain things that are usually over my head in a way that I can understand them. So I appreciate guys like you.
Yeah, we need them all, right?
That's
yes,
right.
we do.
We need them both.
That's right.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about American Gas Safety? Like, when was the company started? Where are you guys located, et cetera?
Yeah. Yeah, so American Gas Safety is we're actually part of a global organization. The roots of our company start in England, and they start over in the UK. And so Chris May, who's our sales director here, he actually brought a lot of the original technology from the UK-based firm to America. And so some of our core technologies being in the labs and whatnot. But as we've been here and as we've established our presence as American Gas Safety, off the foundation of it was the UK-based company. And then we moved to Tampa. And then as we've been here for, I think it's going on around 15 years now, we kind of look into the marketplace and see where the demands are, and we start to create our own products for these applications. And so we've grown from just being a lab systems company to now doing, advanced gas detection systems, parking garage systems, and whatnot. So even though the roots of our company are, in the UK, we really have a design team that is looking at the US market and making products specifically for this market, specifically for you guys, our reps and our customers and everything like that.
That's fantastic. Awesome. So obviously, like your name says it all, American Gas Safety. Obviously we know that you are about gas safety, but it goes a lot deeper than that. So can you explain a little bit more in detail what AGS does as it pertains to keeping people safe in laboratories, commercial kitchens, and even around fire pits?
Yeah, of course. Well, so American Gas Safety is actually just an electronics manufacturer, really is all we are, right? So we make electronics, but we have that application focus in gas safety and really just safety in general. So you guys have probably seen we've come out with some water leak detection products and things like that. We take our expertise in electronics and then we apply it to the marketplace. And so we're very, very adaptable in what we come out with. And, that has grown from labs like you've seen to now doing, time to gas control for fire pits. And then now even to, time to gas control, gas detection, drug drug testing labs, anything that has to do with solenoid valve control, we essentially do. And then on the mechanical side, we have all the different gas detection products.
One of the specific products for like a science laboratory utility controller, something like that. So you're in a science lab. What's the benefit of having your product in a science lab?
Yeah, and I love talking about the science lab products because that was one of the original products that we actually came here and started with. That was one of the original markets. And the idea of it is to just make science classrooms a safer environment for students and teachers. One of the main functions of our science lab controls is giving a key authority control over the gas supply to the classroom. So the idea being that you give the teacher more control over the gas or over the environment, you're making a safer environment for everybody, right? So we're trying to give them one, safety shut off, panic buttons, hit the button, shut the gas off, and we're also trying to give the teacher more control. There's very limited code requirements for science classrooms, or to be quite honest, for any kind of gas use in the country. There's very limited safety codes as far as putting emergency shutdown and whatnot in there. So we are providing an additional benefit to these science classrooms, and we've started seeing some local codes sort of adopt them, and in different states we're seeing more and more projects kind of pop up. So we sort of came into it ahead of code, and we're starting to see the code follow now as we move forward.
So I'm surprised to hear that there's not a lot of code as it pertains to gas in a classroom of all places, right? So currently, I mean, is this a situation, Tony, where it's if the code isn't driving it, it's more or less a good faith thing, like you as the school or whatever, or the school district is going to put this in as a precautionary measure, even though code is not driving it. So that means obviously a little more added expense, correct?
Yeah, a little more added expense, but it's really not that much of an expense compared to what the actual renovation budget likely is for those classrooms. It's not a very significant expense, but most of the demand is going to come from either one, if it's local code required, that's where the demand is going to come from. But it's the code is driven from the school district. So the school districts will start to request these products from the engineers. And then that's when we start to see the engineers come to us to try to specify them in the classrooms. We do have a good portion of engineers, though, that do specify these basis of design because it's their design in the classroom, and they want to add the safety in there. And it doesn't really add all you're really doing is adding safety. You're not messing up the function of the classroom or how the teacher's going to be able to teach. You're just adding additional control, and you're adding extra safety to the classroom for maybe $1,500, right? So it's not it's not too expensive, but you are you're providing a lot of value to that environment.
Seems like a no-brainer to me.
Absolutely. Well, also, one of the really cool features of the lab utility controllers, Tony, is the gas proving technology. Can you explain a little bit further on how that works?
Yeah, of course. So gas pressure proving is essentially what we do is every time you start the gas, we are going to turn the gas valve on. We're going to let all of the gas in the classroom fill we're going to basically let the classroom pressurize. So we turn the gas valve on, we pressurize the classroom, and then we turn around and we close the gas valve, and we start to measure that downstream pressure. So we're measuring the pressure in the classroom. We're trying to see if there's a consistent pressure. If we see any kind of pressure drop, it indicates that there's an open gas turret or that there is a actual leak in the piping. Okay. The two things that I think we catch the most are initial installation leaks. So when they're building a brand new construction and they're running the piping, we'll catch the smallest gas leaks in the casework. But we also catch when students start playing with the gas turrets, because they'll know, right? Yeah, they'll know when the gas is off, and they'll start playing with the turrets. They go to the next class. The teacher walks in, she goes to turn the key on, and then all of a sudden there's gas spewing in the classroom. So we catch that. We shut the gas off. We just make sure it's a safe environment every time they start the gas.
Okay.
And that always isn't happening nefariously. I know there's always that kid, right? It's going to try to blow the school up and get a day or two off, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I remember being in the science labs, and I remember those valves, and maybe innocently you're just putzing, you're just fiddling with it, and you open that gas valve up, and that's pretty amazing. Now, you were saying it's checking the classroom. When you're saying that, you're just talking about the gas line, though, in itself, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So the pressure in the classroom is the gas line in that classroom. It's not actually doing anything with atmospheric. It's
No,
all within the.
not in the pressure proofing itself. So the pressure proofing is actually built into the system. So that's what's going to come standard with it. You can add additional gas detectors to the system. So this kind of stems into the gas detection side of our business. We build all of our gas sensors in-house. They're all UL listed, and you can actually place those in the classroom and then tie those back into the panel. And then if you actually sense a gas leak in the environment, we will recognize that, send a signal to the controller, and we'll shut the gas off. And then that's sort of the same, that detecting and isolating is the same concept that we try to apply to all of our applications and all of our products. We're trying to take automatic action when you see a gas leak in any kind of environment. And then it just so happens in the classrooms, we're going to use pressure proofing and fixed gas sensors to do that.
Gotcha. And the key that you mentioned, that allows the teacher to completely lock out the gas correctly. Isn't that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you can completely lock out the gas.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can completely lock it out. And then you also have control over the other utilities as well. If you would like, you can control the water, you control the outlets. So it's more of a control. It's more for a control purpose. So if you don't want the students using water taps, you can turn those off with a key, and you can just turn the gas on in the classroom. We basically are controlling all of the utilities that are going to be on those lab benches in the classrooms.
That's fantastic. Awesome. Yeah, that's great.
Well, let's talk about some of the mechanical rooms. Obviously a lot of contractors and facilities people have to work in these mechanical rooms. Maybe you haven't been in the room for a day or two, right? And now you've got to walk into an area that could have CO, could have a carbon monoxide leak. Right. Carbon monoxide is odorless and colorless. So, I mean, it's a silent killer for sure. So, can you tell us about this mini Merlin and what it does to detect CO in a mechanical room like that?
Yeah, and I think I'm going to start just by kind of talking about the concept of the CO interlock and carbon monoxide interlocks with your boilers. So like I was mentioning in the science classrooms, everything that we're about is detecting and isolating. So we're trying to find that gas leak, which the mini Merlin, the sensors inside the mini Merlin are going to do that. And then we're trying to automatically isolate it. So we're going to shut the boilers off if they're carbon monoxide. We're going to shut the gas valves off if it's leaking gas in the area. But we're trying to put that automation in there. So that way, not relying on a human being to be the situation and then go and shut the system off. So yeah.
Well, I was going to say, so if I can ask, so the mini Merlin's going to be inside the control room, right? Inside the mechanical room itself. So it's essentially doing the sniffing for you. I'm outside the mechanical room. If the mini Merlin detects a gas leak, let's say the gas line to the boiler, it's going to shut down, right? Before I've ever walked in. And the Merlin's doing this, correct? The Merlin's doing this as a safety precaution for me before I ever walk into that mechanical space. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And to go further on that, let's say you get a gas leak overnight and it ends up going off in the middle of the night. When you come in there the next morning, it's going to be flashing the highest level of gas that it read overnight. So it'll actually tell you why it went into alarm. And it's got the displays on it. So it'll be able to tell you if there still is gas in the area, in the room. And it'll also tell you what the highest level was that it actually sensed for.
That's amazing.
And that can be connected to one of our e-stop buttons. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. So the actual code right now for boiler rooms is to have one of those e-stop buttons outside of the boiler rooms. Most of the time, you're just going to hit that button. You're going to shut off the boiler. So you're already designing that into your mechanical rooms to have those e-stops. So the mini Merlin really is designed to piggyback off of that. So instead of now just taking that panic button and tying it into your gas valve or tying it into your boiler, you can tie it into the mini Merlin and then have the mini Merlin control your boilers, control your gas solenoid valves. So then you get the automatic shutdown as well if somebody's not there to actually recognize the leak. And that's the big thing. You got to make sure the automation is in there to automatically shut it off.
I'm sure you don't have statistics on it, but how many lives have you guys saved? You know what I mean? It's seriously.
Yeah.
I do know that there's over 400 deaths and 50,000 hospitalizations for carbon monoxide poisoning every year. Now, not all of those are.
There's over 400 deaths.
400 deaths. Yeah.
Wow.
Nationally. Yeah. A percentage of those are going to be in mechanical rooms. A couple other things I want to add about the mechanical room is right now there's no code at all for natural gas detection. There's no code to have natural gas detection in these rooms that are using millions and millions and millions of BTUs. Especially these large boiler rooms, right? These commercial boiler rooms. I would say in over 90% of them, they don't even have any kind of natural gas or LPG detector in there.
And wouldn't you say the majority of people are just going to walk in that space? They're not going in with a sniffer or anything like that. You know?
Right. And then the other thing too on the carbon monoxide side of it is you don't have any kind of screens on your detectors. So if you are a mechanical contractor or you're an inspector or you're a facilities manager or like a hotel engineer and you're constantly walking into these boiler rooms every day, you have no idea if there's low levels of carbon monoxide in there. You have no idea if you're being constantly exposed to 30 parts per million of
Sure.
CO every single day. And that does build up in your system. It
Oh,
does.
absolutely.
And
Sure.
so in the current carbon monoxide sensors, the fire alarm code ones, they follow UL 2034. And there's actually an alarm set point where it's a time weighted average, but the time weighted average is you can't go into alarm until 30 days if it's 35, I believe it's 30 or 35 parts per million. So you could walk into a mechanical room and get exposed to 30 parts per million every single day for 30 days, and your CO detector won't be going off.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, with the
That's the
long-term
reason.
ramifications of that.
Yeah.
Well, that's the reason why they changed the codes in Florida locally here is because the inspectors were going into these mechanical rooms and constantly being exposed to CO. So they set the alarm set points to 35. As soon as it hits 35, goes into alarm, shuts the boiler down, and you have the screen to let you know if you're being exposed to carbon monoxide in the room.
That's awesome.
That is fantastic. Wow. That is
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's very cool what you guys do, and the more I learn about you, you just you keep expanding into different areas. And with that being said, American Gas Safety does have a newer product out that's a leak detection device. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, the leak detection fit right into what we do as a company. We're an electronics manufacturer, so making the leak sensing devices, making the controls, everything is, it's not new to us, right? The product is new to us, but the technology is not new to us. Now, I just want to confirm. You guys froze for a second. I want to confirm you guys heard it all, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. No, yeah. So the product is new to us, but the technology is not new to us. We know how to make these kind of products. What we really went after is a specification type of water leak detector. We didn't, there's all kinds of other residential products on the market. And then there are some other, there's more complex versions on the market as well that are very expensive. We wanted something for a specifying engineer. When he's working on a commercial product or project, he wants to have choices between what kind of sensing attachment he wants to use. He wants some kind of customization. He wants to choose what kind of valve he wants, it's designed for the specifying engineer, really, because that's where our core work is done, is working with these engineers. So we try to make a specification product for them.
Tell me about the rope.
Yeah, so the leak detection rope gives you another option other than your simple puck. So what you're probably used to in the residential application is throwing a puck in your water heater pan, throwing a puck under the sink. The rope actually allows you to cover distance. And so essentially, I mean, you can picture a rope, right? What it looks like. Anywhere along the lines of that rope, if it touches water, we're going to go into alarm. So that way we can do up to 500 feet of this rope. So if you wanted to attach it to pipe, if you wanted to run around a perimeter of the room, you can do so. So it just gives you a different option. One of the more popular applications that we see for the rope is drip pans. For any time that you're running water piping over a room, like in hospitals for testing rooms, MRI rooms, but also if you have server rooms, data rooms, and there's water piping or drain piping over it, they'll typically run a drain pan underneath it in case anything leaks, and we'll put a rope leak detector in there so they can get that alert. Very similar to your air handling units in your house, how you have those drip the overflow switches, right? It's basically, it's basically an overflow switch is the way I like to look at it for plumbing drip pans. That's kind of how I see it.
As soon as it senses water, closes the contact or opens the contact probably, right? And then shuts everything down.
Yeah, well, really for the most part, we're just, in that kind of application, we're just, you can do that, right? You can close a contact or open a contact and close a solenoid valve, but you can also just send a signal to the BMS if you would like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
so
great.
Very simple, just saying, hey, you have water here, come and fix it, or you can actually shut it down. But a lot of these applications, you don't want to shut it down, especially in the hospital applications when it's very critical.
Right.
You're very cautious about shutting things down. So there's BMS capabilities built in. Yep.
That's great. Well, Tony, when you were talking about, the leak detection product, I really thought, how great AGS is about adapting to market needs. And how do you guys go about understanding, the needs of the customers when you're developing new products?
Well, we get the ideas from you. We get the ideas from our reps,
Yeah.
from our customers. They come from conversations. And what I think people don't realize is how much when we're speaking with an engineer and they tell us about an idea, or speaking with a rep and they tell us about an idea, or they give us feedback on our product, that feedback really makes it back to our design team. It comes to me, it comes to my colleagues, and then we immediately start sharing it with our design team. And all these ideas, they just start to pull up. And we say, hey, we've been asked 3 or 4 times about this, and we turn around and we make it. So, Todd or Tiffany, if you guys came to us and said, hey, there's an awesome opportunity in the marketplace here, we take that idea and we go to our design team and we look into it, right? You might not know that we're doing this, but we truly are. We're very, very connected to the marketplace.
That's great.
It is
great.
You can
tell.
It's very cool. Yeah, you can. You guys are quick to react too. It's it's fun to watch, the new products as they roll out. So yeah, hats off to you guys. Can you touch quickly on the fact that our valve can take 120 volts? I understand that some of our competitors out on the market will get a very annoying hum at 120 volts. So can you explain a little bit about that? Why ours isn't going to hum and have that sound?
Yeah, well, I want to start by sharing the fact that we have our own solenoid valve, which is kind of unique for an electronics manufacturer. The reason we have our own solenoid valve is because we've dealt with these other ones in the past, right? Where we used to provide solenoids with our systems, and we used to buy them and sell them and whatnot. We could never use a 120 volt solenoid because it had this hum to it. So by the time we started supplying so many solenoid valves, we needed to design one that actually worked for our application that was better than the ones that we were using. So we try to remove that annoying AC hum out of these valves. And so if you're using them in a classroom application, you can put them above a teacher's desk and they're not going to hear it operating out there. And it simplifies everything inside of our systems because you don't have to use transformers. It's just power in, power out. So it allows us to make the boxes really small. You don't get really hot transformers inside the controllers. And the other thing is that 120 volt wiring kind of solidifies it into the electrical scope of work, where sometimes if you have a 24 volt wire to the gas valve, it might get lost. You might get the plumber that gets kind of tasked with it, and then the plumber doesn't want to do the wiring. So then they kind of pawn it off to the electrician, but the electrician says, no, it's not my scope. So it kind of just solidifies the scope of work. We try to keep all the wiring within the electrical.
Nice. Yeah, keep it simple.
Great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, Tony. Well, hey, is there anything else that you would like to share with us today on the podcast about AGS?
Kind of what we talked about a little bit on the fact that we are a very reachable manufacturer and that we listen to our customers. And we're not we're not an enormous organization. So I'm reachable, our sales directors, our owners, they're reachable, right? So if you have questions, you can get in touch with us. And then also our technical staff, we are very, very, very responsive. If you call our office, people are kind of shocked that you talk to a real human being right away who actually knows what they're talking about, right? So many people call me up and they ask me this real long question, or they'll call up one of my colleagues and ask a real long question, say, am I speaking to the right person? I say, yeah, we're all trained. We're all trained on the systems. So yeah, we're a very personable manufacturer.
That's great. And you do have a good YouTube page as well, which I have visited. You can get some basic information off the YouTube page. And then, of course, PM and Associates, we're here for you as well. We're happy to educate you more on American gas safety. You've got Tony as a resource as well. And yeah, we're excited to be a part of American gas safety, Tony.
Absolutely. And speaking of education, we are going to be releasing some On Tuesday We Train videos that we just shot on AGS coming up in April. So we're really excited with Kevin. Yes.
Nice. Great.
The star of our On Tuesday We Train AGS videos coming up here over the next month. So we're going to have some great educational videos on AGS here coming out too. So thank you so much, Tony. This has been such a fantastic podcast. We really appreciate you coming on. Let that sink in.
Thank you guys. Yeah. And you guys have been nothing but awesome ever since, we've partnered up. So I appreciate everything you guys do.
Yes, we have a very new relationship, but we can't wait to keep growing with AGS and excited for our partnership in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Tony, thank you.
Well, for more information, you can always reach out to p-massoc.com. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you next time.